Good evening. My name is Syed Nababi, and I will be the meeting moderator. I am with the Fairfax County Department of Transportation, and I want to welcome you to this meeting to discuss the Lincoln Street project. Before we begin, I'd like to review some guidelines so everyone can participate and get the most out of this session. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube, then linked to the project webpage. Microsoft Teams does offer a live captioning service. You can find that by clicking the three dots labeled More, go to Record and Transcribe, and click on Show Transcript. Once the presentation is completed, we will begin the question and answer portion, during which participants will ask their questions aloud. You may also submit questions using the chat function at any time, and we will do our best to answer all questions, while also ensuring that we get to all participants. If you have multiple questions, this may mean you get placed back in the queue so that everyone has a chance to participate. If you are on the phone, please hold your questions to the end. We will have instructions on how to ask questions at the conclusion of the presentation. We also encourage you to submit your comments to today's meeting using online feedback form, written feedback, or phone call. Again, we'll have contact information for you at the end of the presentation. Since Supervisor Palchik and Supervisor Bierman are not here, does any of the offices or district offices want to make a brief remark? I guess with that, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Sonia Shanaj, the project manager for Lincoln Street project.
Thank you, Syed. Let me share my screen. Do you all see my screen?
Yeah, looks good, Sonia.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Syed. Thank you, everyone who's attending this meeting. I'm Sonia Shanaj, project manager for Lincoln Street. What's going on? I'm sorry. Oh, okay, the mouse is not working, so sorry. Before I start the presentation, let me go to the meeting agenda. I'm going to start with introducing our project team. Then I'm going to start my presentation where I'll talk about the purpose and needs, proposed improvements, land rights, potential utility relocation, and then project schedule. At the end of the presentation, like Syed said, we'll take a question and try to answer as many as possible. Our project team consists of staff from Department of Transportation, as well as several divisions from Public Works. In today's meeting, we have staff from Transportation Design Division, our chief of Design Division, Todd Minix. We also have from Capital Projects, Cajun Luo and Jim Strayhorn. We also have our consultant, HNTB, Sean Fielding, and his staff, and our consultant, WRA, Regina Har, and her staff. Lincoln Street is located on east of 495, as you can see from the county's comprehensive plan on your right. The cloud area shows the general location of the new connection. And below is an inset showing the location of Lincoln Street connecting to Old Meadow Road on the west and Magarity Road on the east. This is part of county's grid of street, which is visioned to accommodate substantial growth in East Tyson. Just to put some numbers, between June 2023 and May 2024, 1.1 million square feet was built and 1.3 million square feet was under construction. Although this number is for the entire Tysons area, this gives you an idea of the high growth in Tysons. And this is why we need to work on completing the grid of streets to alleviate pressure from the major thoroughfares as well as better network in Tysons. Lincoln Street, as just I said, this is part of the grid of street, which will provide an alternative access from Old Meadow Road to McLean area, as well as to I-66 via Magarity Road. And it also will provide access to elementary school, the Westgate Elementary School here and at West, and also Westgate Park. This shows an overall project scope. On your left, Lincoln Street will tie in to Old Meadow Road by the public storage building, and this is going to be a stop intersection. On your right, it is a T intersection where it ties to Magarity Road, and it will be right in, right out only. We're going to also build 2 mini roundabouts on Magarity Road. And on this exhibit, the yellow area shows the new roadway bridge to cross the Scotts Run Trail as well as Scotts Run Stream. We will be building 2 retaining walls, one by the storage building and the other one by the elementary school due to grade difference. We're going to have multiple access from this road to adjacent properties. And I'm going to go into details with all these improvements in the next few slides. This shows a typical section of Lincoln Street. This is a local street, and with speed limit is going to be 25 miles per hour. It will be designed as per Tyson's Corner transportation design. It will be a carbon gutter section with 211 feet lane and sidewalk, concrete sidewalk on one side with buffer, and 10 feet asphalt sidewalk with buffer as well on the other side. This shows the tie-in at Old Meadow Road. On your left is a Google Street View where it's showing, the arrow is showing where Lincoln Street will tie in at Old Meadow. On your right is the proposed improvement at this intersection. Just please note this road will align with the Lincoln Street on the other side that is right now under construction as part of the county housing development. As I mentioned in the overall scope, we are going to build 2 retaining walls. On your left is a picture of the typical section where we are building the retaining wall by the public storage. On your right is a picture taken from the parking lot of Old Meadow, 1749 Old Meadow, the office building. You can see the elevation difference. That's why we need the retaining wall. You can see on the typical section, the retaining wall next to the parking lot. And on your right is the storage building. This shows the new and proposed roadway bridge crossing Scotts Run Trail. On the top is the elevation of the new bridge crossing the trail and as well as the stream. The bottom is a picture it was taken in 2022 of March, right after the stream restoration. The new bridge is going to be south of the pedestrian bridge that you see at the bottom picture. And it is looking at the same direction. We understand this bridge is going to be constructed in an environmental sensitive area. We are already coordinating with Fairfax County Park Authority to make sure the field investigation for the environmental work are in compliance and we're not impacting the area. And we are going to also continue our coordination with all applicable county, state, and federal agencies for environmental design and services. This shows bridge section. This will, the roadway bridge section, this will be a 235 feet long and 47 feet wide bridge. It will carry two 11 feet lane, 10.5 feet sidewalks on both sides. The railing is a combination of parapet and steel rails, concrete parapet. As you can see on your left, showing the bridge railing, the steel railing, and the concrete parapet. We are going to have foam liner treatment on the bridge and wall as well as on the parapet that you see on the inside. We'll have lighting on the bridge. This is showing the options for foam liner textures and color option as per FCDOT standards that are proposed on the bridge and retaining wall. On the left is an exhibit showing the type of texture that we use, which is dry stack, and the color option is brown, which is 10324. This shows a closer look of all the proposed access. One below is the access to the county park, Westgate Park, and on the top is the access to MITRE and the townhome community. This access location are based on the planned, I would say, development plan that was submitted to us during our concept plan, and we're gonna further coordinate with the county park authority as well as MITRE to continue as we continue with the design. This is the second retaining wall by the school. The retaining wall will start from the access to the park, the new access to the park, to all the way to Magarity Road. This is more than or approximately 1,000 feet long, and in some areas it is as high as 15 feet. We are gonna also install fence. You can see from the section above that we're gonna have a 6 feet high tall fence on top of the retaining wall. This will give a separation between the road and the school. This shows the proposed improvements, the dual mini roundabout on Magarity Road. On your right is the mini roundabout at Violet Ridge Place. On your left is the mini roundabout at Peabody Drive and Westgate Elementary School intersection. And the median island is shown as blue in between these roundabouts, which will restrict the access at this location to ride in, ride out only. This is a recommended alternative based on the feasibility study that was done in October of 2022. Several options were reviewed during that study: safety, property impacts, as well as retaining number of existing parking were the key factors to select this option. As you can see, there are multiple driveway right across Lincoln Street where it's tying into Magarity Road. This will cause conflict between the driveway traffic, driveway users and the traffic from Lincoln and to and from Lincoln. This median island will create a barrier to prevent any potential conflict. This median will also reduce the conflict between all these driveways and through traffic on Magarity Road. The roundabouts at the end of the median island are proposed to accommodate larger turning vehicles with larger turning radius because we are restricting in the median. So that's why you need to make sure that not only your regular car, but we have avenue to accommodate larger vehicles like your school bus or any emergency vehicles. In addition, we are proposing refuge area on the median island at the crosswalks. We are going to have walkways, 8 feet walkways on both sides of the road in addition to the lighting. The bottom of the slide shows a typical section of Magarity Road, which shows a wider pavement section and also shoulder parking, as well as the 8 feet asphalt walkways and lightings. This shows the tie-in at Magarity Road. On your top is a picture, is a Google Street View with the arrow showing where Lincoln Street will tie in at Magarity Road. This is a closer look of the roundabout that I just talked about. These are traversable roundabout with multiple curb. The radius are, the rear are 44 feet for both the roundabouts with 19 feet width of the pavement section within the roundabout. Now I'm going to show you some traffic simulation videos to show the traffic flow on Magarity Road. Couple of points to note. This is based on projected traffic in 2036. This is the peak period traffic. That means the highest volume that is anticipated, which in during morning hours and during evening hours. It is for the morning, we took the traffic between 7:45 to 8:45, and for the evening hours between 5 to 6 o'clock. These videos are 9 feet long because this the meeting. We would like to keep the meeting short. I'm just going to show you a couple of minutes for each scenarios. This, like I said, this represent the peak hour volume, and we try to show where the queues are maximum. And I'm going to start with the AM peak simulation video. Can you all see the video?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
And thank you. So you can see the flow on Magarity, the Violet Ridge Place on your right, and traffic on Magarity Road is stacking up close to Violet Ridge Road, but then again, it's doesn't stay for a long time. It is moving. Same thing on your left. You can see traffic at Peabody Drive, traffic stacked in and then moving, continue to move. This is, I believe, SU40, which is a large vehicle compared to a large city bus. And then the yellow, I'll show you the video. The yellow is compared to school bus that will take the turn to Westgate Elementary. And I do like to mention that when traffic is stopping, that means, they are looking at people crossing the crosswalk, or there are, and they're yielding when there are traffic within the roundabout. It's not stopping, but yielding. I am going to post those videos to our project website, just to let you know. And you can see, again, traffic is stacking up, but then again, moving quickly. It's 2 minutes, so I'm going to go back and show you the PM traffic. Okay, this is the PM traffic. Again, the car stopped because you can see someone is crossing the crosswalk. So that's the reason they stop. And as soon as it's done, we are in the median, they can be on the median island, and the car can start moving on to the destination where they were going. You can see a lot of traffic coming from the Anderson side of, stacked up on Anderson Road. It is a signalized intersection, but compared to, you can see the difference between a signalized intersection where you sit for, based on the timing, you sit for, seconds to minutes, but here you don't, have to wait, and it's stacked up, but then it moves, dispersed pretty quickly. Like I said, I am going to post the entire video. It's about 9 minutes for both the PM and AM condition. This slide shows the proposed lighting. We are going to follow Tysons standards. The luminaire is going to be LED lighting with warmer color and gray finish. The mast arm and the pole will also be natural aluminum finish. Land right will be needed for this project, for the construction of this project. On this slide, the table on the top is shows the type of land rights and number of parcel that we will need land rights based on the preliminary design, which may change. Right now we're showing a right of way from 10 parcels, permanent easement from 4 parcels, and temporary construction easement from 20 parcels. Bottom shows an exhibit with different types of land rights. Orange the orange line represent the temporary construction easement, and the green represent the retaining wall easement, which is your permanent easement. And the red line represent the proposed right-of-way. This slide shows screenshot of the plant with utilities in color. As you can see, our project, will have conflict with a lot of utilities. This is based on the preliminary design, the 30% design, and we will find out more as we progress with the design. We are estimating 25 utility poles may be impacted with water line, gas line, as well as several communication lines may need to be adjusted or relocated. And the last slide is on the schedule. We completed our 30% design in September. The 60% design is expected to be completed by 2025 of summer of 2025, 90% design spring of 2026. The land acquisition are scheduled to be completed in summer of 2027, and utility in summer of 2028. The construction for this project will start in summer of 2028, and construction completion is late winter 2029 or early spring 2030. The estimated total project cost is $47.93 million. With this, I conclude my presentation. Like Syed said, we are gonna have a question and answer session, but you are also more than welcome to send your comments via project website, or you can also email me. But comments are due December 6, 2024. And I am going to post this presentation on the project website as well. So you have the information for all the links and the phone numbers to send any comments.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. So we will now take questions and comments from attendees. You may either ask your question verbally or by chat. Raise your hand located at the top of your screen next to the 3 dots. Please unmute yourself when your name is called and ask your question or provide your comment. Please mute yourself after you have asked your question. If you are on the phone, press *5 to raise your hand, and when you are called upon by your phone number, press *6 to unmute. After you are finished, please push *6 to mute yourself. You may also submit your question into the chat, and we will read your question aloud. So I think we have 2 questions via chat. I'm going to read those, and then Sonia, you or your team can respond to that. The first question is from Scott Moore. For the roundabouts, will the center circle have a curb, or will it basically be level or close to level with the road? I live close to Magarity, and I regularly see vehicles speeding down this stretch, probably 50 plus miles per hour, and I'm wondering if they would still be able to do that by driving over the roundabout circles.
Sonia, do you want to pull up you're on mute. Do you want to pull up the roundabout typical section? Go to that slide, please.
Okay, hold on a second.
No, the one that shows the 44 feet and the 19 feet.
Hold on a second.
Yes, the previous one, yes. Okay.
So the question is people are going to still speed, right? That is the question.
Whether there is a curb, first of all, between
There is,
the,
oh yes, there is
Yeah.
a carb, but those carbs are mountable carbs. That means you are able to drive over the median, but those are like 3-inch high. So those are not like your regular stand-up carb. Those are mountable carb. And these are roundabouts. This is the reason we're calling it as traversable roundabouts. So if there is any larger truck, like WB50, which are probably 60 plus feet length, that if needed they can go over. But the roundabout is overall is a traffic calming measure. You will have sign. Because of the roundabout there is yield sign, and you have to slow down. It slows down the traffic, and there will be advanced signs before approaching the roundabout.
I want to add to that. This is Brooke Korashadi from Fairfax County DOT. In addition to what Sonia said, the roadway configuration at the roundabout, the features that has been added, such as the median and the refuge island, they slow down the traffic, and also usually there are cars generally within the roundabout that people have to yield. So I have never seen any roundabout that people can navigate more than probably 15 or 20 miles per hour, 15 even miles per hour. So it really slows down, and people have to slow down in order to get into the roundabout. So it is a traffic calming measure as well.
All right, thank you. Next question. Please forgive me if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Next question is from Sonia Brihi. When you talk about peak AM or PM volumes, how long does that peak level last for?
So what we have done, the peak level, the peak hours is typically, your morning rush hour or morning after our evening rush hour. So we use the hours when you see the traffic most. So that means your peak hour, that in the morning and in the evening. George, you want to add something to it, what I said?
Yeah, so the peak hour we determine based on the traffic data we collect in the field. So this volume gonna be last about 1 hour in each AM and the peak period. So this volume we assessed, we will assess the 1 whole hour for the analysis period. Yeah, that's the inputs for that.
If
I
I could
answer the
just,
question?
this is Todd Minix. If I could just
Yeah.
clarify,
Mhm.
the volumes that you're seeing here, this is the peak of the peak. We know rush hour is from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So we're taking the volume from that 3-hour period in the morning and the afternoon and looking at the highest volume in that 3-hour period. So what we've seen from actual data on the road, that's why I think you had the AM peak is 7:45 to 8:45 or 7:15 to 8:15. I forget what you said.
7:45.
Whereas the PM is slightly different. It's more of a whole hour period, typical hour period, 5 to 6 or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
5 to 6.
Yeah. So again, it shifts One day it could be 6:30 to 7:30. The next day it could be 6:45 to 7:45. But we're trying to pick the one that is generally the peak of the peak.
All right, thank you. Next question is from Tasha Tadi. Can you please unmute yourself and speak?
Sure. Hello. I might have missed what the purpose of this road is. I've lived here for a very long time and I'm having trouble understanding why we're putting this in place and if it's to give access, given that Old Meadow is already a one-lane road currently because there's so much construction going on. And with the school mess in the mornings, I'm guessing you're going to avoid that. But what is the purpose of this road, given that the traffic is already increasing where we live? And if it's for Mitre and Northrop, they already have their own on Chainbridge, their own entrance. So I'm having a difficult time understanding why we're building this road. If you could explain that.
Like I said in the beginning, this is part of county's comprehensive plan. Cajun, is Cajun here?
Yes, I'm here.
You want to explain more?
Well, this is a Cajun Law. I'm from Capital Projects. Well, based on a comprehensive plan, the Tysons grows dramatically. So this Lincoln Street is a connection, the east-west connection between the Old Meadow and the Magarity Road. In addition, especially is there's a few development of this matter. There's a lot of people will come into the job, so we'll distribute this traffic more evenly. Thank you.
And we have looked at the volume. Like I said, we have looked what's the existing volume right now, and what will be the volume in 2036, and that Magarity Road can handle that traffic or not, and it is. And like in the beginning, I explained, this is part of Tysons grid of streets that is in the comprehensive plan. And this grid of streets, it is established, it's my understanding, there was a study in property owners has been coordinated with this. And like you were saying, there is a development coming right now, the housing development on Old Meadow Road. So they can take this road to go to the park and they can to the school. They will have direct access. Right now, they'll have to take Anderson Road. That's one thing. And anyone from Old Meadow they have you can't to go to 495. You can go take 123, or you can go through Magarity Road. So this gives any people from Old Meadow Road another option to go places. They don't have to go on 123. That was the vision in comprehensive plan. But I can guide you who are responsible to prepare, but it's my understanding, and that's been studied. There was a study done in 2012. It was a comprehensive study. It is in county's comprehensive plan that showed this is needed for improved roadway network in Tysons.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, and this one more. This is Cajun again. So this is not only the Lincoln Street not only provide connection for the automobiles, but also this multimodal connection also provide a bicycle and a pedestrian connection in the Tysons area. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question is from Ann Tall.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. I'm very concerned about this plan impact on the Scotts Run Park there. That's actually a very small park. And I live in the colonies and I work at MITRE. So I walk through that park every day to get to work. I must say, I don't represent MITRE, I don't represent the colonies, but I'm in that park every day. And I see a lot of people using that park. Children, retired people, all shapes and sizes, using that small park to jog, to walk their dogs, use their scooters. And that picture you've got there at the bottom is misleading because there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of deer in that park, there's fox, there's a lot of birds in that park. I don't understand why you can't just expand Chainbridge Road and connect Colshire up to Magarity and not ruin this park. There's not very many parks like this little special park here in the area, and putting a big road and a bridge through the middle of it is going to destroy it.
All I can say, first of all, about the picture, the reason I chose this picture is to show where the new bridge is going to come. So it gives you a bit better idea where this bridge is going to come. There was a stream restoration done, like I said, in 2022, and that's when a picture was taken. And yes, there are a lot of vegetation right now. In the last 2 years, there are a lot of vegetation. Like I said, this is part of the our comprehensive plan.
Well, just because you've got a plan doesn't mean things don't change. You know, a plan is something that you can change from. So I'm curious as to why you didn't think about expanding Chainbridge and connecting Colshire to Magarity.
Cajun, would you be able to answer that question? So you were saying, we can get back to you on that question.
Could I just mention that, because, you know, we our section and division, we are in, you know, the implementation of the project. So we take these questions which are related to scope, refer that to, you know, our planning section, which have actually scoped this project, as well as to district supervisor's office for consideration. So thank you for this question. It's a great question, but we have to get back to you on that. We take that as part of the public feedback, and we have to get back to the public.
Again, I just want to emphasize, I know that there's only 45 people on this call, and I work through that park, like I said, every day. I live in the colonies, I work at MITRE. I'm very familiar with this area. If you put a big road through there, you're going to ruin this tiny park. Why not just use Colshire and Chainbridge? They're already, you know, fairly large roads. Perhaps add one lane on each of those. People are already familiar with them, and protect this little gem. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, please follow up with also, you know, giving us your feedback on written, you know, forms, which also take note on this.
Thank you for the question. And
Brooke, if I could
Yes.
just add real quick, if you could show the overall plan view again. The Park Authority does have plans to do some additional ball fields at that park. And what's shown in that sort of a magenta light pink is their concept plan. They don't have any funding for that right now. In my understanding, they don't have any funding, but they are intending to expand that park in terms of its use and type of use as well.
Well, one thing also I can add is these pictures don't show the elevation of that park. It's really a deep ravine there. In order to put those baseball fields in there, they're going to have to do some huge retention walls to have those level, because that's not a level area there. From the current baseball field down to where Scotts Run River is a huge drop off. So I'm not really sure what in the world they're thinking with those pink baseball fields.
Yeah, that's in their ballpark. We did the Scotts Run Trail, actually. Sonia, Sonia, what didn't work on it, but Brooke worked on the Scotts Run Trail, which we completed, what, in 2020, 2021?
2022, or I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we understand the elevation issues there, and that's one thing we're battling with the road and the retaining walls that we've got proposed. So to try to minimize impacts to
Yeah,
the
so I
park.
think
and the
again,
school.
by
So-
looking at connecting the road that's between Mitre and Northrop Grumman, you wouldn't have to put all those retaining walls in there. You know, connect Colshire Road over to Lincoln.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. I think we have heard, and we'll provide a response later. Going to the next question, let me go up. So this question is from Greg. Is there a possibility to connect the sidewalk on the bridge over Scotts Run down to the trail below via a ramp?
So you're talking about tying Scott Run Trail to the roadway sidewalk. We have looked at briefly, but we can take a look at it in depth. Like I said, you know, the purpose of this road is to connect to expand the grid network or complete or work on the planned roadway section. There is the storage building, like, you know, the previous audience just said, there is a lot of elevation difference. It is going to be very difficult to tie in. Let me show you. So it is going to be very difficult. I don't have the picture all the way there to tie in from the storage building side. And same thing on the other side. If we want to tie with the Scotts Run Trail, then the elevation difference and everything, it is going to be pretty expensive. And like, you know, we want to preserve this stream run, but we want to build a road and minimize impact as much as possible. So, but we're going to take more look into it.
Actually, Sonia, we don't need to take a look at it again because we did actually looked at this possibility during feasibility, and it was not feasible for, you know, several reasons: environmental impact, the grade differential, you know, all the time that needed to be done. So it wasn't feasible. So it is not something that we can go back and reinvestigate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Next question is from T. Halter. So there will be access to Dartford Road from Lincoln Street. I can drive on Old Meadow, take a right on Lincoln, and end up near Safeway and Anderson Road. That's a question.
So I'm not following. So you were saying where
I guess the question, the first question is, where will there be an access to Dartford Road from Lincoln Street?
I'm not exactly sure. Are you talking about
Sonia, I could chime in if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Lincoln Street, as we noted, connects Old Meadow to Magarity. So if you were to drive north on Old Meadow Road and turn right and therefore east on Lincoln Street, you would connect with Magarity Road. You would turn right again, head down towards the mini roundabout at Peabody. And one of the nice things about those mini roundabouts is it makes a nice, convenient place to do a quick U-turn. You can do a U-turn there, and you would head north on Magarity just like you would today, which connects to Anderson and Dartford. In the future, when the Mitre development is part of that, you saw the that eastern stub driveway connection that's on the east, that's on the west side of the Commons, the housing development that's kind of new. That road will someday connect up towards Dartford, but that is outside of the scope of what we are building. We are just providing and facilitating that future connection. But today, or once this project is built, you can make the trip via the two mini roundabouts on Magarity and turn a left on Anderson and get to Dartford.
Thank you. Next question is from Talia. Can you please unmute yourself?
Good evening. Firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone. I'm actually very impressed by the amount of work you guys have put into planning this, and I thank you for your work. It's particularly nice to be on the call with some people who built Scott's Run Trail because I also use that every evening. So I would like to ask if you've done an environmental impact study. Per some of the comments, there is a fox family that lives in the area. There are deer, raccoons, there's even a bobcat that I've heard. And I think I feel and many other people feel that this is one like very tiny oasis for the wildlife. It's very quiet. It's really nice to walk through. I walk my dog there every single night late. So I'm wondering if you have an updated environmental impact study. And then also if there will be an opportunity for the public to like vote against the potential planned Fairfax County Park improvement plan, because it looks like that might target a lot of the green space in the area. Thank you very much.
So the first part of question is about the environmental study. We have done a preliminary environmental inventory, and this is just a 30% preliminary design. As we move forward with the design, we will do a detail investigation, detail work, and coordinate with the county, like I said, the state and federal agencies.
As part of that study, it does include study of all the endangered species and the impact to trees and everything that you just mentioned. So that will be part of the environmental study, actually. Already, I think we have done some phase one during geotechnical borings that we had to do for the bridge foundation. There has been some initial studies to identify any, artifacts or historical artifacts that might be present in the park area. So as the design progresses, as Sonia mentioned, we're going to complete the environmental investigation on this project. And we're going to consider all of those things that you mentioned, actually.
And for the second part, that's something, I'm not sure if there's anyone from Fairfax County Park is attending this meeting.
Sonia, this is Chris Blau with the Park
Hey.
Authority. Hey,
Yes.
thanks. Yeah, I can jump in on Westgate Park. So we don't have any immediate funding right now for a master plan process update for Westgate Park. The comprehensive plan and the County Park Authority Board's concept system master plan for Tysons actually calls for a master plan process update for Westgate Park. I think the most recent master plan for that park is a number of decades old. So before we would, these concept plans are just taken directly from a simple concept that was included in the comprehensive plan. We wouldn't make any changes or plan any improvements to the park without going through a full public review as part of a master planning process.
All right, thank you.
I'll say just to add one more thing before you move forward. I think one piece of, the question was that whether people could comment or vote against the project or piece of the projects. That's also possible. I think there is a survey as well, Sonia, which is going to be posted to the web.
The project, the voting, it was against not this project. She was talking about the Westgate Park.
I understand, but for any piece, if people are against it, that could be part of the, feedback as well. Thank you.
Just wanted to say,
and the other thing I do want to add is that the species that you were talking about, fox and raccoon, what we're going to look at, like Brooke said, we're going to do list of endangered species. And we, the park did a stream restoration. And there are a lot of, trees were taken out, but to build the stream. But you see, they came back. So when we do our construction, we will try to minimize the impact. But in long run, it's not that we're gonna demolish everything. We think that it's gonna come back. It may take like a couple of years. Like the picture that you saw is from 2022. But now if you go to the side, you're going to see lushes of trees. So it doesn't take a long time for this, trees or vegetation or species to come back.
I was
All right,
really
thank,
excited to see the bridge is going to be elevated so animals can cross underneath. That's great.
thank you. Next question is from Ken Fowler. Can you please unmute? Or I could unmute. Oh, I can't unmute, I guess.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually posted my question in chat. So I had a question. So, so what is the plan to mitigate for, this looks like this road is immediately adjacent to the Union Park community. Is there a plan to mitigate for road noise? I mean, it was mentioned several times during this presentation that you anticipate significant growth in vehicle traffic in this area. So what is the plan, if any, to mitigate for the noise, immediately adjacent road noise and vehicle noise immediately adjacent to that community? And then a related question, what is the plan to ensure the safety of all the school children and the small children that live immediately adjacent to that road?
I'll get back to you on the question on the noise. The second part of the question, like I said in one of my slide, that we are going to install retaining wall. We're going to install retaining wall all along the school property on the northern
That's along
side.
the school property, not along the other side of where the community is. It looks like that community is just going to be open up to the street where there's a lot of kids, a lot of pets.
Oh, you're
So
talking about
community over here. Has any consideration been taken to the impact that this is going to have on this community?
I mean, this road is going to be like a residential road, 25 miles per hour. It is considered as local street. It's not going to be your 35 or 30 mile per hour road. And there is buffer between the road, and you are going to have sidewalk. Let me show you. Do I have a section, typical section? So for like any, I don't have like section, but like any road, you'll have your, and along Lincoln Street, this is the typical section. You are going to have buffer between the sidewalk and the road. You will have the sidewalk itself. So it's not like right next to the road. But on the other hand, this is a low speed road, 25 mile per hour. It's local street. It's like your subdivision street. It's not like a high speed road that people are going to drive in. It is going to let you walk and come from your townhome community and use this walkway and go from your community to all the way to Old Meadow, which has also a walk along the road.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and this will actually give you an opportunity to connect over to Old Meadow and then use the new bridge across 495, going down Old Meadow Road to the south and using that new bridge across 495 to get into Tysons. Again, you could bike it, you could walk it, that sort of thing.
Right, thank
I
you.
mean, we can walk it and we can bike it right now. So I don't really see what the point of that is. I guess where I'm concerned is if you look at where the easements are drawn, this community, this development is coming within mere feet of the townhomes. So unlike a typical residential area where there is a decent amount of setback, you're building this right on top of the townhomes. And it's not like these are just people drive in and out. People walk here, people walk out of their doors, kids run, dogs run. So it just seems like this plan has been put in without a lot of thought. And I'm sorry, this is just very sad and disappointing.
Just to let you know, the part of this development, if you see the plan, it does show this road. It does show the Lincoln Street as part of the site development that was prepared for the townhome community. It does incorporate, does show Lincoln Street as future road. And on that side of the road, you will have your 8 feet walkway. And then you will have some buffer.
Thank you. If I could ask, please speak on your own turn so that everybody gets a chance. Next question is from Keith Henning.
Hello. So the main thing I'm looking at here is it's one where I could see this being a very good multimodal cut through, but I really don't see how adding the car infrastructure adds anything. So that's one where you talk about how if it's I think about 47 feet wide total is what you said, and 11 feet per car lane, I see no reason why you couldn't do the same thing and just do an 11-foot wide multimodal trail and just forget about the car lanes. Because if you're in a car, it's really not that much of a difference to just go up through Anderson. But this does provide quite a good access to the additional developments in there along Old Meadow. It does provide good access for the pedestrians and cyclists to get to the metro and access to the new MITRE development, which already has car access from the other side. So my biggest question is it still possible, because I know you talk about it being part of the plan, to just switch it from being automotive street and switch it to just being the multimodal trail? Because that would probably cut down on costs and also environmental disturbance, because I know you talked about there's definitely some vegetation that can come back quickly, but as somebody who also lives in the colonies and takes the Scotch Run Trail daily, this map is going through a lot of old growth trees that it would take 70 years to get back to that size. And those ain't coming back once we knock them down for a long time. And anybody who spent time around Tysons knows just how hot it gets in the summer, and we need more canopy to help protect from the urban heat island effect.
Like I said at the beginning, the purpose of this road, it's to improve the network in Tysons. It is in the county's comprehensive plan. So we are implementing that vision in the comprehensive plan, but we can, of course, take your comments and talk to, the people who are involved in preparing this plan.
Yeah, and just to add, that was a great, I think, comment. It had multiple, issues that you touched. So please send us your feedback on written forms. Make sure we don't miss anything. Thank you.
All right, next question I have is from Scott Moore.
I was just curious, and maybe this was said and I missed it. The timing of the project. I looked when this page was originally put up. It said they were planning on breaking ground in 2026. About a year ago, it changed to be 2028, and the current version of the web page doesn't declare any sort of anticipated start date. So I was just curious if you actually have an anticipated time that the construction would begin in mind right now.
So right now, the schedule, the start of the construction is summer of 2028, and to complete by winter 2029 or early spring 2030.
I see. All right, you did cover it and I missed it. All right, thank you.
All right, so let's go to some of these text questions. Okay, I think we did that one. Question from Matt B, or maybe comment question. As a resident of the townhouse or townhomes across from Westgate Elementary, I am concerned about the distance from the townhomes to the construction easement and the road. This is a young community with a lot of kids and a lot of pets. As drawn on your website, construction will be mere feet away from some of the townhomes buildings. Has the impact of this on the residents in this complex been considered in these proposals? And has there been any consideration to creating a boundary between this community and the road?
So we are right at 30% design. So we will consider, there are several options that we can do. We can have a privacy fence. We can have chain link fence to make sure that our work is limited to the area and to provide some separation between the townhome community and the construction traffic. Like I said, we just completed our 30% design. As we progress our detailed design, we're going to make sure that we are keeping in mind not only the townhome community, but also the school, the elementary school, to have adequate separation or maybe work during the weekends, for the school. I'm talking about the school, but as well as for the townhome. We're going to make sure we have, some separation, like I said, separation between the townhome just and the roadway. And for the permanent, once the construction is done, we are not proposing any wall or anything along the road. We want the people from this community to use the sidewalk and the trail. So that's one of the reasons we're not going to have, we're not going to put up any wall between the townhome and the road.
There was also, I think, one comment that, the right-of-way is very constrained in this area. So it was very challenging to do this connection. And I could invite, Sean Fielding, our design project manager, if you want to comment further on this, because the connection of Lincoln Street to Magarity at this location was very challenging. And the right-of-way was, we didn't have sufficient right-of-way to accommodate many of the things that we are discussing today. Sean, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's certainly true. Like you mentioned, the right-of-way and the land access, both north and south of Lincoln Street, is very difficult to manage. It is threading a needle between the competing needs of the community on the north and Westgate Elementary School on the south. Sonia mentioned that when the development was put in, part of that development proffered or gave a certain amount of land for the Lincoln Street project. And our boundary is aligned with that southern right-of-way line. But we are as tight to that line as we could in order to preserve the facilities on Westgate Elementary and provide as much protection to that side of the road as we could, while still respecting the land rights and uses on the north side. Similarly, as we head west, there's a lot of competing needs between the existing parking garage and the future Westgate Park development and the existing facilities, Westgate Park. There happens to be a cell tower over there that we had to be very careful to avoid any impacts to that infrastructure. And then as we cross the Scotts Run, again, lots of respect for all of the comments relative to impacts to green space and wildlife. We have tried our best to find the least worst solution in some cases. That's what we can do. And so the bridge, for example, is very high. It spans the entire space rather than building into it at all. We're trying to, use that span to preserve that park as much as we can, while still respecting the comprehensive plan and the Tysons Corner street grid that has been put forth by Fairfax County through that separate process.
Thank you. Next question I have is from T. Halter. Where will the parents/caregivers park when picking up the children from Westgate? Now they park all along Magarity and they park where the concrete island will be installed.
So right now, I mean, I've been to this, I went to the school at the drop off, not like, picking up. And I did see how it's been used. With our design, I don't think, other than we may need to look into by the school property. Let me see if I can have a zoom in so I can talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so this is better. So basically, the parking that we are taking out as part of this project, it's from the of where Lincoln Street is tying in to all the way to close to the entrance to the school parking. But what I have seen during my visit, this parking are not used by the parents. They, this is parking that's from ages and maybe probably the houses or the townhome. Because I've seen, this cars are parked there even after everybody dropped off their kids. So these are, just parking by the people who lives on the street. I have seen parents who drop their kids um, um, in front of the school, which is right now is marked as not to park. The one thing we may need to look into it, maybe reduce this island a little bit. So they will have the parking is not that many impacted. I mean, right now it's probably 6 to 8 cars can park in front of the school, so we can increase that number. But mainly this project is taking the parking, from where Lincoln Street is tying in by the property line of this townhome community to, like I said, to the entrance, close to the entrance to the school, which are not used by the parents of the kids who go to the school. Most of the school kids walks to the school. There are traffic. It goes all the way to Violet Ridge Road, but that's not going to impact, our project's not going to impact that.
All right. Next question I have is from Patricia Leslie. Why were RABs selected instead of traffic lights and/or stop signs? How do costs differ? Are RABs safer? Second is, what are the sources of funding for this project?
So the first question, I believe you mean, you asked for RFP, the rectangular rapid flashing
roundabouts,
line?
RAB.
No.
Roundabout versus signal.
Oh, roundabout. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what you said, RFP, but like I explained, we are putting a median island that is to make this access to right in, right out. And to avoid conflict between the driveways along Magarity Road and the new access. And for that, you need the vehicle to turn around. And that's the reason for your roundabout. Because, if you have larger vehicles, like, your school bus, they won't be able to make a U-turn around a median island. So you need to have some mechanism, which is your roundabout, for vehicles to turn, for vehicles turning movement. So that's one thing. The other thing is that this road, if you look at VDOT, this is a VDOT road. VDOT's going to maintain this road. And RRFB is not warranted based on the number of lanes, based on the speed limit. And I think as part of the Magarity Road Walkway project, we have tried to install RFB, but VDOT did not allow us to install RFB even by the school because it doesn't warrant. So that is your question, number one. And I think
Sonia,
Todd,
this is
yes.
Todd. Could I chime in?
Yeah,
It's not RRFBs. The original design here, when we first looked at a concept at the tie-in with Lincoln Street and Magarity, it was proposed as a traffic signal initially in the initial scope of the project. The problem is all the driveways on the opposite side. If we were to put a traffic signal in there and then we would have to rearrange all the driveways on the other side of Magarity Road. We looked at a number of different options. We looked at putting in a service drive, connecting, say, 3 or 4 of those driveways that are right close to that signal where it would have been, connecting them in so that it's sort of like a pipe stem, so they have a shared driveway and they all go in and out of Magarity Road at the same place. The impacts to those properties, the snow plowing, et cetera, were just a massive problem there. We went through several different options with VDOT, and this was, while it's the mini roundabouts is more expensive than just putting in a signal, it's going to be less impact to the properties overall, and it's going to be better traffic operations overall. Is the gist of what has we boiled it down to at this point. Yes, it is an additional cost to put in these mini roundabouts, but it's going to be less expensive than buying all the properties on the south side of the road or east side of Magarity, that all the impacts that would happen there, and the inconvenience that would cause those residents as well.
Thank you. So what are the sources of the funding for this project?
So this project has a combination of funding. So we are going to have some funding from state revenue sharing fund, and then we'll have a proffer from MITRE. So there is a proffer to build Lincoln Street. Let me show you from their access to Magarity Road. So that's going to be funding funding from MITRE, and the rest of it is going to come from county street upgrades. There is Tysons, not the county, I'm sorry, Tyson Grade of Streets. There is a funding. I believe that funds come from all the rezoning application. Based on I think the square feet that they every project they submit for rezoning application. There is a fee associated with the development, and it varies for residential versus commercial. So there is a pot of money that's going to be used to build this project.
All right, thank you. Next question is from Jin Zhang. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Hi, we are the residents in Union Park. Will there any measures be taken for noise control for the construction and operation? Will all trees be removed?
So there will be noise during construction, of course. But we follow county ordinance for noise. So we will make sure that the noise level is within the county standards. And I talked about like fence, like the safety fence and like a privacy fence for the construction of this road. And the trees, unfortunately, we won't be able to save the trees because we're building a retaining wall. Like one of the audience spoke earlier, and I also mentioned there is a lot of elevation difference, a great difference. And that's one of the reasons we're building a retaining wall as high as 15 feet. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to save the trees because we're building a retaining wall here.
Right. I would just add, we're saving as many as we can.
Of course, yes.
By putting in a retaining wall, for one thing. The noise during construction, that's a given. Again, we restrict construction activities are only allowed since this is a new roadway and we're not blocking traffic except for any work that's on Magarity Road. Typical construction timeframes would be like 7 in the morning at the earliest to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. No work on holidays. We would allow night work potentially on Magarity Road. And the reason why we would suggest night work for the improvements on Magarity is, one, traffic is a lot less at night. And the contractor also has a longer time frame to work. We've had this on a number of projects, and we really put it to the community. What do you want? Do you want us out there for 6 months, or do you want us out there for 9 months? If he's restricted to working it during the day, then per VDOT standards, he can only work on Magarity Road, where he's got to close a lane of traffic. He can only work from 9:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it doesn't give him a lot of time each day to do work. If he can work at night, he can close the lane down at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and work till 5 a.m. So it gives him a couple more hours a night. And again, he can speed up and do a lot more work with the more hours he's got. So it shrinks that time frame for the total construction to get it done. Again, we can do that just for certain segments of the construction, the entire thing, and we would actually come back to the community when we get to that point before we actually go out for bids to try to get input. What do you prefer? For example, we had a project a number of years ago. It was, I can't remember the name of the road now, but it was a 2-lane road. We were adding a left turn lane at a T intersection, putting in a new traffic signal, et cetera, on it. A lot of repaving that had to be done. And we approached the community and said, if we have to do this during the day, it's going to take the contractor about 2 weeks to get all this repaving done. If you let us do it at night, the contractor says he can do it in 3 nights and get it all done in 3 nights. So there's a trade-off there. I know the community said, let's do it at night. And a number of the people that lived right up next to that construction site actually took those 3 nights and went somewhere else. They went on vacation, went and stayed with some friends, visited some friends, something like that. So it really was a good benefit for everybody to get it done quicker. So we would put that out there to the community if and when we get to that point.
All right, thank you. Next question is from Tasha Tadi. If you could please unmute yourself. Yep.
Hello. So I have a few questions, and I live at the colonies myself. And like everybody has mentioned, Scotts Run is very, very important to us as a community. And I feel there was some misleading information that was shared. For example, we're putting new baseball fields in. There is currently racquetball and tennis right there that you'll be knocking down, which you spent, I don't know how much last year upgrading. So it just feels like a waste. But not only that, there's people on those courts from 7 a.m. until 12 a.m. And this is all year round. Why do we need more baseball fields where there's already 2 above there? That's the number one. And the other misleading is, I understand you drove by the school. I live here. The parking lot you're taking down is actually where the parents and also the employees park. And just so you know, those events that are held at the baseball fields, that's where the parking is. So where is parking going to be going forward for this place, for example? Because a lot of people still use those parking spaces. So if I could get an answer on those. But the more important thing is, I've been hearing a lot about, we'll get back to you. I would like to know the answers to that. And how are you getting back to us? And how can we all get the answers that you're saying you get back to us on, I guess? Is it email? How do we get those?
If you can submit your question through the form that we have showed you and I presented, so you can write in your feedback, and we will respond in writing. So that is question number 2. And I understand we're taking parking from this project. I'm not gonna say, no, we're not taking parking. Yes, we are. But the options that we looked at, this is the best option to minimize, minimizing the parking. But what I have said, that's based on what I have seen. That's the reason I've said. And I understand you live there. You probably, of course, you know better than me. But this is what I've seen when I went. This was not parents parking. And that is very interesting to know that the employees park on the road where the school parking lot was not full. So that is very interesting. But I am not going to disagree with you about taking out the parking. It may be inconvenient for the parents or inconvenient for the school employees or inconvenient for the people who lives along Magarity Road. That is for sure. Someone will be affected. But this is the least impactful option that we we found out, like Todd Minix mentioned, that we looked at several options to tie in, and that is the least impactful. There can be signalized. It can be a signalized, we could put a signal, but in that case, all these houses on the other side is going to be affected. We may have to purchase those lots. So I know that those are not viable. I mean, of course, viable if you spend money, but that's more expensive, and that's impacting more to this community. But like I said, yes, there will be some parking taken out. I think it's right now it's maybe around 15, 16 parking. Sean, am I right? The number of parkings that we are going to have to take out as a result of the tie-in?
It's roughly correct, Sonia. They're not marked parking spaces. It's just an open spot, so it's a little harder to decide exactly how many we're hitting one by one, but that's approximately correct.
So between this area up to the school entrance.
Okay, and then just another thing, Fairfax County Little League plays in the park down there. Where do they park when there's Little League games? And also the tennis courts I mentioned, why are they being replaced, considering they're constantly in use year round versus 2 extra baseball fields, which I don't see the point of.
So about the parks, we heard the representative from the park that's just a concept, and if they were to do any development there, obviously they'll be having public meetings on it and they'll present that. So, but other than that, if anybody else wants to respond, or we can go to the next question.
No, I just wanted to reiterate that's, of course, the parks plan is not part of our plans. As you mentioned, it's something that in the future park is going to consider. So just also include your feedback on that segment as well. That's fine. We're going to forward that to district supervisors for their consideration.
That's great. So I'm just going to go ahead and say one last thing. I believe you guys did this over a decade ago. The plan, the community has changed. The environment has changed. I don't think this was thought out properly. And I second what Anne originally said, where you guys should revisit this and possibly look at connecting culture instead. This is going to be very disruptive to the environment. And again, I would love to see that environment report. Is it on your website? You can answer once I'm done. If it is, I'd like to go take a look at that and when it was done and so on and so on. But like I said, if you guys make the plan in 2012, it seems a bit, it needs to be revisited. In my opinion, and from what you guys are saying, that you have to cut into this because you have to buy other houses. Those were there to begin with, or maybe they built them afterwards. So like I said, things have changed. Therefore, maybe reevaluating might not be the worst
Well,
for the county.
yeah, well, that's a great comment, and that's why we have this public meeting at 30% design, because we do need the public feedback, and the people who are actually living in the community, their feedback is extremely important. So thank you so much. We're going to compile your comments, all the comments, and eventually with the response and coordination with district supervisor's office, post them on the website as well.
All right.
So
Next question I have is from Sonia Brehe. If you could please, yes.
Hey, thank you. I know we're getting late here, but I just wanted to say, the grid of streets is really important for growing and urbanizing Tysons. It's an important part of improving the mobility as the area sees a lot of growth in the coming years. That's what's being planned. It's been planned for a while. We see the growth. And we need to make sure we're sort of serving the folks in this growing community and connecting to our older communities. And that's the challenge here. And I think we've talked about, I heard some other folks mentioning, building out this grid is not only helpful for those who drive, but it's really helpful. It offers connectivity for walking and biking too, especially to the metro station, which is just down the hill from there. And with all the growth in this transit area near, Capital One and all of that, it will improve access to all the services in that area and the surrounding Tysons. And bit by bit, this is getting sort of built out, but it's a long process. It's really refreshing to see that Lincoln is being designed as a small neighborhood street with just 2 lanes, and that it'll have paths on both sides. I think sometimes we see new roads and they're 4 lanes and they're huge. Like, this is a small scale road that will help to build out this grid and improve mobility. I think I'm glad to see the use of the roundabouts. They'll definitely help calm those high speeds on the road, and will keep traffic moving. But it'll also help with the traffic calming. It'll help make it safer for people walking and biking, especially to Westgate, right? And so, how do we improve ways to get around that isn't just driving? And I think this is sort of part of that. And I just wanted to sort of mention all of that this is sort of part of the plan. It's going to help this multimodal aspect of getting around, not always having to drive, connecting to transit. And it's nice to see. I'm glad you're working with the Park Authority to make sure there's no significant impacts, or to minimize impacts to Scott's Run. With all the work on the stream restoration and the addition of Scott's Run Trail, it's really done a lot to improve the stream quality and provide quality park space in this area. So, I think it's all kind of coming together. It sounds like you're talking to the Park Authority. I think, to everybody else's point, we do want to minimize the impacts. So, understanding how you're looking at that would be helpful. I was also wondering if you might be doing like street trees as part of the road project. Are there planned any tree plantings as part of this? And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are we planning any trees with this project? No,
Unfortunately,
not with
we
the
are
project.
not with the project. The trees that will be impacted on our park properties will be compensated, so they can go ahead and plant trees, because when we do construction, our project have only 1 year warranty. So if the trees die, we won't be able to replant it. So that's the reason the way we work is compensate the park properties for any tree that will be taken out for the construction, and they can replant.
Was a question on Lincoln Street whether there's going to be, tree planting, because we don't.
No.
But what is the buffer area right now? We are proposing between the roadway and the sidewalk, Sonia.
Of 6 feet.
6 feet.
Mhm.
So that 6 feet would allow for any future tree planting. I think that was the reason that we provided 6 feet of buffer between the sidewalk
But
and the
even
roadway.
with that buffer area, we'll have utilities, we have
yeah.
detentions, I mean, not
Yeah.
detention, I'm sorry, storm drainage, so it's gonna be difficult to plant
Yeah.
any trees within the right of way.
Yep. VDOT's requirement is that all trees be at least 6 feet off the back of, off the curb. And they have to be small, trees to do street planting, so to speak, street trees. So, and again, we're trying to minimize our impacts to the environment and shrinking down, the cross-section of the road to minimize impacts to existing trees and natural resources and so forth. If we were to provide street trees, we'd have to widen it out so that we could get those trees in between the sidewalk and the curb or the trail and the curb. And it's on Magarity itself, the little median there. That right now isn't that wide enough to be grass?
8 feet, yes, yeah.
Yes,
we
it's
can.
wide enough to be grass. It's not wide enough to get street trees in that median. In order to do that, we'd have to again widen out that median, and which impacts, the properties on either side of the road. So we're again threading the needle here in a lot of respects to try to minimize impacts to residential properties, in natural environment, etc. It's not an easy project.
All right, thank you. Next question, Keith Henning.
So you've mentioned a couple of times that, because as you can tell, there's a lot of pushback from folks here. So you've mentioned a couple of times about the this being part of the comprehensive plan. So my main question would be that, are you guys bound to do this as a car road, or would you be able to do this as a multimodal trail and it would still provide all the connectivity? Because if you're bound to do it as a driving road, it does seem like this is probably the least bad option that you have. But I think in some of the stuff that came up in the chat, as you'll probably find, is that I don't think you'd get much pushback at all if you were going to do this as a 16-foot wide multimodal trail. But this, 30-foot wide project, I think, is where you get a lot of the pushback. Other thing I'll say, because I know you guys bring up that we should submit comments and things like that. I'm on the Lincoln Project site on the county, and I can't find where to submit comments. So if you could drop in the chat somewhere that we can comments, that'd be helpful.
I will, at the end of this presentation and the answer question session, I will give you the link. I'll copy the link and paste it into the chat box for all of you to use.
Yeah, if you could display that last page of the presentation, it shows all the contact places where you can drop your comments or send your comments. Oops.
Sonia, could you please copy that link and paste it? I don't know if I can. Yeah.
In the chat.
Copy. Yeah, the engage.fairfax County.
Oops.
I mean, you can paste that while we go to next question, I guess.
Okay.
I guess we got the comment about the roadway, and again, that's being part of the comp plan.
Well,
Next
I guess
question.
what wasn't clear to me is as part of the comprehensive plan, does it have to be a auto roadway, or would a multimodal trail qualify as still being part of the comprehensive plan? Because if you have a multimodal trail, you'd accomplish most of the stuff you want to do. And I think the biggest thing is most of us here don't see the benefit of making it a roadway, but we all see the benefit of it being a multimodal trail.
The quick answer to that is yes, it is planned as a not just it is planned as a multimodal connection, including cars. Next question is from Matt B. I guess he's adding to the question we previously had about the school parking, which is to add to that, since no additional access is being created to the school, it seems like this project will not actually mitigate any school traffic, but instead funnel additional traffic near the townhomes with a lot of kids and pets. Any response?
Hold on a second.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was putting the feedback form.
I think this question was previously addressed. Sean Feeling even spoke, regarding this.
So can you repeat the question? Is it?
Yes, the question was about the access to the school. Since no additional access is being created to the school, it seems like this project will not actually mitigate any school traffic, but instead funnel additional traffic near the townhomes with a lot of kids and pets.
So I mentioned in my earlier presentation, I mean, in the beginning of the presentation, so there is development, housing development coming here. I'm just going to give you an example. It's, I believe, more than 450 something units and altogether. So what I meant, if they want to go to the school, they don't have to go all the way to, let me just show you on the map. So they don't have to go all the way to Anderson Drive. So they can directly take Lincoln Street and come to the school. So either way, if we don't build Lincoln Street, they'll have to come to the school. So that's what I meant. So either Lincoln Street or Anderson, and you have seen the traffic on Anderson. So funneling traffic, that's, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sonia, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so go ahead, respond.
I thought somebody was talking.
No. I think
Okay.
somebody's mic was on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's why I stopped. But like I was saying, anyone from this housing development, if they have kids going into, elementary school, kids, so they can take this Lincoln Street to come to the school. That's what I meant. Regardless, whoever, wants to have to come to the school, they will take Magarity Road because the other two roads, down Lincoln, down Anderson, those are private roads. You're not allowed to use those roads. So the only access right now to coming to Magarity is Anderson. So the Lincoln will, if we add that, so that is gonna, like I said, distribute the traffic. So it's not going to be a lot of traffic. You won't see a lot of traffic on Anderson. So it's because it's going to spread out. So that's the reason of the grid of streets. That was the purpose. And to the answer the question for the last person is that yes, this is part of a grid. This is what is in the comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan, if you see the map that I have taken, it is, looked at, but this is 2023 that was updated. I'm not saying the map was updated, but it goes beyond what we do. We implement the design, but like Brooke, my section chief, told, this is something that you can take it to the supervisor's office if you are not in support of this road.
Right.
But
next question.
Yeah.
Next question I have is from T. Halter. Chainbridge Road and 123 and Magarity currently enable traffic flow. The Lincoln Street will dump a lot of traffic onto Old Meadow, where there is a cluster now. The affordable housing and Ship Garden and foot traffic are very busy now. What is driving the project? Increased traffic in 2030, but where is the traffic coming from? Pimmet Hills is static growth with single-family housing. We can access I-66 from Anderson. I guess we did
have,
Go ahead.
responded. Yeah, I
You want to
believe
have our
we have
traffic engineer
responded.
respond?
Basically, the response was provided that the need of the project is coming from the Tyson development. As Tyson grows, you need more links for the traffic to be able to move around, for the people to be able to move around, for the bikes to be able to move around.
Correct. And we have
Anybody
looked
want?
at, and we have looked at the capacity of Magarity Road. You know, the video that I have shared, it's based on 2036 traffic, and Magarity Road has the capacity to take that traffic.
All right, next question I have is, I guess it's not a question, a comment. You guys like to use phrasing proposed plan. How can we cancel this awful project? Thank you for the comment. I guess the only way I see to cancel this is to cancel Tyson development.
We'll provide a
next,
comment and we forward to supervisor's office.
Yeah. Next question is from T. Halter. We have the fairly quiet Serpentine Trail for pedestrian access now. I guess that was a comment. I guess next comment is, I also live in the colonies and bike the trail daily to get to work. That's from Keith Henning. Next comment I have from TX. As a resident from the townhome next to the Lincoln Street, I think this project poses significant safety risks to residents and school children at Westgate Elementary, increases noise and air pollution, disrupts the quiet environment vital for our community and learning spaces, and bringing more negative impacts than benefits. The increased traffic and potential congestion at the proposed roundabouts could further endanger pedestrians and delay emergency vehicle response times. And the current one-lane traffic already perfectly handle everything and the future population growth. I guess that was a comment. The second comment is, additionally, the project threatens nearby green spaces that are essential for recreation and environmental health. I urge the planning committee to conduct a comprehensive impact assessment, consider alternative solutions, and engage more meaningfully with the community to address these critical concerns. Thank you for the comments. Next comment I have is from T. Halter. It is a 2012 plan amendment to connecting through Colshire to Magarity, avoid the park. Thank you for the comment. Next comment I have from Matt B. The entire road is going to be built over green space with a lot of trees and wildlife, including a fox den. Are the environment studies considering the rest of the area in addition to Scotts Run? That's the question, I guess. The question is, the environmental study considering the rest of the area in addition to Scotts Run?
So our environmental study is only within our project scope. That includes not the footprint of the project, but, outside a little bit, but not the entire watershed or the stream valley. It's just limited to our project scope.
Thank
you. That's question. The one thing I do want to point it out, as I mentioned, just to let you know, when I talked about the funding, MITRE is got their application, rezoning application approved to construct the Lincoln Street from their entrance to the to Magarity Road. So they already got that rezoning application approved. So if they want, they can go and start building that part of the road. I mean, from tomorrow. I'm not saying tomorrow, as part of their development. I believe there is a condition that they have to build the road when they're building certain part of the plan that they got approved.
Okay. Next question. What will happen from Michelle? What will happen to the tennis courts? It looks like the new baseball field location will take over the spot. Is there a place for tennis courts with this plan? Overall, this plan feels like traffic is being prioritized over the people/community who lives here. Thank you for the comment. As we mentioned, the baseball fields are a concept, and the park has no plans to develop that at this point. Next question is from John Metzler. Perhaps in future briefings, you could explain why Lincoln Street project was approved in the comprehensive plan. For example, I hope the Lincoln Street will reduce the congestion on Great Falls going to 123, where it connects to 495. Also, Old Chain Bridge Road is close to saturation when Louisville Park hosts soccer games, practices, etc. Also, will Lincoln Street help reduce the cut-through traffic in Pimmit Hills to avoid going north on Route 7? Sean, do you want to?
Sean, George, do you want to respond?
I'm sorry. Can you?
They might be.
I'll. Do you want me to read the question again?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Sure. So the question is, it basically says, I hope the Lincoln Street will reduce the congestion on Great Falls going to 123, where it connects to 495. Also, Old Chain Bridge Road is close to saturation, where Louisville Park hosts soccer games, practices, etc. Also, will Lincoln Street help reduce the cut-through traffic in Pimmit Hills to avoid going north on Route 7?
This Lincoln Street, this connector in the comprehensive plan was part of the bigger study done many years ago. They are looking harassingly for the entire Tysons development. So, and for that particular study, they are looking at all the possible development, and with all that development, the overall Tysons Corner area roadway will be all oversaturated with future travel demand. So with that, what county proposed is really to adding more roads and adding more road density to create a more urbanized contacts to accommodate for the future demand, also improve the urbanization context for that area. So that's part of this entire Great Street concept. As for the specific cut-through traffic, we have to go back to the previous plan to look into details. But the overall the idea behind that is to increase the activities for the for all the roads in the Tysons, the triangle area, because currently the from 123 and to the to this we don't have a lot of the other I think it's I forgot the direction of orientation. We are lacking the connection between 123 and Magarity. So that is one of the reasons that we are adding more connections, and also to support the development of mighty campers over there. Yeah. So hopefully that help you understand the general idea of the overall development.
All right, thank you. Next comment is from Wasim. The comprehensive plan was in 2012. It is already stale. Forgo Lincoln Street and add the fields there instead. Thank you for the comment. Next comment is from Ken Fowler. A comment and a few related questions. The adjacent Union Park community includes dozens of smaller children. What is the county's plan to ensure the safety of the children living within a few feet of this new road? And what is the plan to mitigate for the vehicular noise immediately adjacent to the community? And what is the plan to prevent the road from cutting off the direct park access from the community? I believe we discussed most of it.
Yeah,
Anybody wants to add?
No, I think we have answered
Okay.
all the questions pretty much. The only thing I would like to, point out, all of what we are doing, by the park, yes, on that stream valley is adding the bridge and like, the bridge is being designed, it's not finalized, but like I said at the beginning, we're gonna try to design the bridge to minimize impact as much as possible. But there will be impact, but not to the extent. I mean, there were impact building the trail. You think about it that way, but now you're getting benefit from this trail. We build bridges and we build this trail. So like it promoted the non-motorized part of it. Now we're building a road to do the other part, but that was the trail, and then this is the road.
All right, thank you. Next comment is from Jin Zhang, echoes above comment that I read. Next comment is from John Metzler. Also, I noticed a bike on one of the sheets and appreciate the comment that the path along Lincoln Street is to be used by both pedestrians and cyclists. In future briefings, could you address the bike infrastructure in a bit more detail? I note Old Meadow Road is a bike pathway into Tysons via the pedestrian bridge over the Beltway. I have biked to Tyson several times via the bridge from Louisville Park. Lincoln Street will make Tysons a lot more bicycle accessible to cyclists / I guess scooters, in my experience at least. Thank you for the comment. Next comment I have from Xinjiang. It's literally right next to the townhouse building beside the road. Thank you for the comment. T. Halter, next comment, love the idea of removing the car access, install a foot bike, 11-foot wide trail. I thought Tyson was going away from car-centric to people, bike, scooter traffic. Thank you for the comment. Next comment is from Keith Henning. It would be great trail / cut through, but not a good street. Right, thank you. Next comment is from Ken Fowler. Will there be a crosswalk across the road by the townhomes? Will there be a crosswalk across the road by the townhomes?
No, we're not. We're proposing at Magarity tie-in, but we're not proposing any crosswalk, but we can take a look into it.
Through Lincoln, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are crosswalks at both of the traffic circles, and then there's a crosswalk across Lincoln Street parallel, right where Lincoln ties into Magarity.
All right. Next comment is from Talia. Thanks all, especially Shana, Sonia, for your very careful work. I am still concerned about the road and environment impact. If you're concerned and want to stay in touch, feel free to email me at I guess the email is provided. I have to hop off. Thanks again. Next comment is from Scott Moore. Thank you for the presentation. I hope you all make it available on the project website. I am on the board of Pimmet Hills Citizens Association, and I know many of our residents are interested in learning more about the pros and cons of this project. And I would like to link to this presentation from our websites. Thanks. Yes, the website, the presentation will be provided on the website. The recording will also be available on the website. Next comment I have is from Ken Fowler. And on the Magarity Road side, will the crosswalk have a signals? I do not see any stop signs. Do we know
We're
at
not
this
gonna have
point?
an, I'm sorry?
Do we know at this point if we have signals for the crosswalks?
Are you mean like signal means like RFBs for the
Yeah,
crosswalks, you know?
yeah, I guess.
No, I mean,
okay.
no, like I said in the initial, Magarity Road doesn't warrant for any kind of signal based on the VDOT traffic guidelines.
But
Okay.
it might be worth noting that while there are no stop signs, there are yield signs. There's a lot of very high visibility pedestrian warning signs. And a lot of studies and engineering knowledge has gone into the idea that roundabouts are quite safe relative to pedestrians. It can feel a little different than that because it isn't a signal. It isn't as hard of a control, but they are unsignalized today. And if you compare the intersections as they are today, you're gaining additional access, and it is as safe as an unsignalized intersection can be with a roundabout and the high visibility crosswalks and high visibility signage that will be out there.
Right.
I'll just add to that. You know, we recently completed the Magarity Road sidewalk project south of Westgate on the east side of Magarity. We, as part of that project, we tried to get RRFBs at Peabody and Tremaine for the crosswalks there. Those are the, you push the button and they flash. Traffic is not required to stop for those, but it's an alert system to the driver that, yes, there's a pedestrian that wants to cross. As Sonia mentioned earlier, VDOT shot us down on both of those potential installations, at least in the interim, until this was built on Lincoln Street, despite the fact that there's an elementary school and the park and Scotch Run Trail that is heavily used. So we would like to put those in, but unless they meet VDOT's criteria, they won't let us do it.
All right. Next comment is from TX. Todd Wesley Todd Minix. Thanks for the explanation and the initial design. Maybe another option is we don't do this construction work and conduct more impact assessment instead. More environment studies and impact assessments would be naturally and perfectly solve the working hour problem. All right, thank you for the comment. Next comment is from T. Halter. Please schedule the next meeting in person at Westgate Elementary. Thank you for your time and talents. Thank you. Next comment or last comment is from MT. Thank you for the info. Will the retaining wall magnify the traffic sound and bounce or direct the sound to the residences?
Is Sean or Tim? Can you answer that question?
I mean, I'll start, and there may be others with greater expertise on sound analysis. But I mean, to some degree, it is possible that the sound might reflect off the retaining wall to the other side of the road. We do anticipate putting that form liner type of treatment that does kind of a stonework. And as long as your retaining wall isn't a smooth face, if you've got some texture on it, that tends to diffuse the sound pretty well. I'd also like to just remind that this is a local street. You know, the traffic noise that you might hear will be from cars. It's not designed for any kind of truck or even a mid-sized box truck is really going to be avoiding Lincoln Street. It can accommodate it, of course, because we have to make sure that it is an accessible road to all different kinds of traffic. But you're not going to get a lot of larger vehicles on the road. And so the kinds of traffic that you hear on Magarity Road, it will be much less than what you hear coming from Magarity relative to the size of trucks and vehicles that are traveling it. So, and I think it's probably something that we could look at as we finalize the design of the retaining wall. How can we best help diffuse any kind of sound or noise impact that the retaining wall itself might create?
All right, thank you. And I guess the last comment is from MT. There is only noise from trees right now. Thank you for that comment. Is there any other question or comments? If not, oops, I raised my own hand. All right. So I would like to remind attendees that the deadline to provide comments is December 6th. You can submit feedback or ask additional questions through the link provided. The link is https://engage.fairfaxcounty.gov. Engage is engage.fairfaxcounty.gov/E64847. So you could use that link to send your feedback. This concludes our meeting on the Lincoln Street project. A recording of the meeting will be available on the project webpage in the next day or so. Thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time and participation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sayed, for moderating.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.